Thanks a lot for having me here and representing the non-medical and non-health part. As mentioned, I'm going to show you some use cases from total different industry. But before I'm diving into that, I would actually like to tell you that we are really not feeling comfortable with the expression of AI. If we're thinking about artificial joints or artificial organs, especially, you know what we're talking about, we're actually talking about something that should be as natural as possible. But if we're talking about artificial intelligence, we're not talking about copying the human brain. We're also not talking about artificial birds if we're talking about airplanes. And whatever we heard today, I think what is really important that we realize how much this cognitive technology is supporting the human being in everything what we're doing. So it's not, the alternative is not a no, it's just a how. So saying that, I choose, I'm actually having a hyperactive disorder, so I will try to fix myself in front of the pupitre. Might be a bit difficult. I choose actually this key visual for you because we see AI really as vitamin for the fourth revolution. Productivity is one of the things that we know with technology can be improved. We can be more efficient, we can be more effective. We can also use technology for growth, but growth is per definition finite. So what do we have if we're using cognitive technology? Well, actually all the emerging technology. We're increasing by innovation. And this is what happens, and this is what we've heard now with all the other speakers. It's about the combination of human brains. And as mentioned before, I'm a mathematician, so equations is for me very basic. The more brains we have, the more creativity we have. But if we're adding cognitive technology to it, it's going to increase even much more. We don't hear the sound, it's not really necessary, but I would like you just to see what happens here. You see a man with drones checking a forest. The reason why I'm showing this to you is because here you have someone coming from a total different industry, from the drone industry, making a new business model, how actually to supervise, how to check and how to predict the health, for example, of forests. So the potential is huge. We've heard that already before. We have a huge increasement of data, computer power, algorithms, and connectivity. More and more things are being connected. Additionally, we're going to have a lot more of emerging technology coming into. It's not only cognitive technology. So we're coming from, sorry, I have just to stick myself to the pupitre. We have, on one hand, all the things that are sensing. On the other hand, we have all the things that are started to be connected. But what happens if all these things who are being connected also get more intelligence? So I would like to show you what does that mean for other industries, because we're always saying the most difficult thing is thinking out of the box. So why don't you just listen to other industries and adapt? Because they're thinking per definition out of the box if you're coming from another industry. And this is where we can learn from each other. And I think this is one of the most important things in the ecosystem, how we can benefit from other industries. So when we're coming from product-driven, more local or regional economy, we're really talking about the more of the old economy things that we have. But what we're having now is a chance with cognitive technology, with emerging technology, to shift the whole thing data-driven. Instead of being local or regional, to be global. and especially from digitalization to be digital. So we're not talking about having from paper to PDF. There is much more. So it's going to change all the industries, no matter which. And this is one of the things that we are doing with SwissCognitive. We are actually working cross-industry. AI is a basic infrastructure technology. It goes cross-industry, cross-commodity, and cross-technology. It's kind of like mathematics. It just hits everything. So if you look at this picture, actually my co-founder Andy, who sits here in the front, he took that picture back in Greece. So it's a real one. I just want to give you a few seconds to think of what would you change if you see that one? Anyone, any idea? Touch screen, for example, yeah. Why do we need any touches anyway? Labels, very analog, but yeah, could help. But at the end of the day, let's ask ourselves, why do we need a switch? Perhaps we can just work with sensors. So this is what I just wanted to show you. We need to break beliefs. We need to think of, okay, perhaps there is another way how we can actually solve the problems. So it's not only about being more efficient, being more productive, like being more, taking out of complexity. It's really about thinking of new ways. So we need to break beliefs. So let me go through a few use cases really fast. I just want to give you a glance of other industries. Here we're talking about how to manage fleet vessels. One of the things since SCTO 10 years ago, we realized that it's probably a good idea if we're not giving all the responsibility to a captain, but we still need a captain on the boat. But what happens is we have today the possibility to actually collect the data from streams, from weather, from other boats ahead of us about traffic, especially traffic jam in front of harbors. So we can actually bring in much more efficiency that here also brings up to savings in maintenance, in fuel, in administration and coordination, but it brings also new business models. Because if you know that there is a storm up front and you know that you don't need, that you're not in a hurry, you may choose another way and then you can reduce your insurance. But if you know that you actually have to be at a certain harbor because you're not going to be there on time, going to cost you a lot of money because if you're not taking your space, you're going to take the risk and you go through the storm, then probably your insurance is going to come and say, okay, we need to increase your policy. So there is a lot in such a small use case I showed you just here. Lawyers, you can actually also put doctors here. If you think how many documents lawyers need to read through before they go to court, it's a lot of time. So today, actually, we have various algorithms helping. And again, here, it's not about replacing the lawyers. It's also not about replacing the doctor. It's just about helping, being more being faster, and especially having then more time with your patient or with your client. Another one goes into due diligence. Also here, obviously, with algorithms, we can be much more precise, faster, and we may also find out trends that a human being, by reading through a restricted amount of sources, won't be able to get to these conclusions. Another one is one of my most favorite, Mobileye. You may know this is the biggest exit out of Israel that ever happened, around $16 billion. These guys actually started with a small little camera for about $40 in every car. Even if you would sell this $40 camera for all the cars all around the world, this wouldn't be the real use case, wouldn't it? What they did actually, they collected the data. It beeped whenever there was something coming from the left, from the right, a car, a child crossing a junction. So what they were able, based on this data, they were able actually to tell, how do you say, like a city planner, where they need to put the red light, where they need to put the pedestrian, where they need to put the mirror, and so on and so forth. And this was the business model. And this is one of the things that they can actually do globally. So not only local or regional in one city, it's everywhere. Another one, and this is a nice one that actually covers also the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN with regards to hunger and poverty. This is a picture of a very fragmented sugarcane area. So one of the things that here, based on the satellite pictures, image recognition, the farmers are being told when they need to do the harvest. Besides that, they know when it's on time, and actually they have much more income because they know when it's the right time. It's also about managing traffic jam in front of the mills. So even there, you have algorithms, intelligence that makes it more efficient, more effective. And here it's really supporting farmers. The more they earn, the less poverty we have. And by the way, then also the kids has more freedom to go to school, where it covers another Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. A last example is actually with COVID. Also here, based on edge cameras, they were able to detect where people were touching, and where actually you had to make sure that you either touching things or being too close to each other. So they were able actually to, on one hand, say where you need to have more distance, and also where do you really need to go and clean. It doesn't make sense that someone cleans all the time everything. It's also not sustainable. So there we have a lot of information, and it makes our life at the end also more healthy. So what are your steps? What are our steps? One thing, and a very important one, and this is one of the reasons why we're all here, we need to upskill. We need to upskill ourselves, and we need to upskill our team. We need to upskill also the population. We need also to level expectation. It's all about expectation management. A lot of people still think of Terminators, sci-fi. That's not the case. Superintelligence doesn't even exist in the labs for today. So today we need to benefit from the small steps that we can based on this technology. And then we also need to manage fear. We heard that especially in the part where we touch base the ethicals. So for us, the 5 most important pillars to start such a journey within your company, within your team, is AI talent, data access, the AI technology stack, an AI program, and most important, the leadership. So this is one of the things that we are able to challenge, to support. We can give you the right impulse, but at the end, it's all of you doing it. So with that, we're happy to support you. And I just want to say the 2 other speakers just before us, when you have something that we can share, that we can support, we are reaching out to over 500,000 around the globe. So we'll be more than happy. Reach out to us. We will post about you if you have information. I think this is very important, and we can also probably help you to raise money at other foundations. Thanks.